Okay, there we go. Welcome, everyone. This is Feng Shui for Chronic Illness webinar. Create a home that helps you heal. And welcome to those of you who are here live, and also to those of you who I don't know. It's good to connect with some of you who I do know. I love to share about Feng Shui and have a lot to share with you tonight. We're probably going to go a little bit longer than an hour, so hopefully you can stay late. My name, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Montero, and I'm a Feng Shui coach and traditional healer, and I live here in Santa Cruz, California. My intention for our webinar tonight is to give you a basic understanding of Feng Shui and how your home influences your health, and also share some steps that you can take to create a home that will be healthier for you and help you heal. Everything I'm going to share tonight is applicable to anyone who's either concerned about their health or wants to create a home that supports healing, whether that's physical healing or emotional healing. But this is not about curing anything, for sure. So we're not about curing, but just creating a home that will support that healing and vitality. And at the end, I'll share some options for working with me in case you'd like to do so, and that'll be brief. And then we'll have time for Q&A. And as I said earlier, we'll probably go a little bit longer than an hour, and I'm happy to stay as long as we need to for Q&A, and I hope you can stay. But first, just a tiny bit about me. So I've been a Feng Shui coach for 10 years, and it was my own experience with having chronic fatigue and chronic pain that kind of got me on this journey of Feng Shui. So I was an artist, and I thought that's what I was going to do for the rest of my life. And then I couldn't make art anymore because of pain in my hands, turned into pain in my whole body. So I moved from the fine arts to the healing arts for my own health, but then that's what got me to discover that I actually wanted to offer help to other people. And I was taking a Qigong class. That was one of the first things that I did that was really helpful for me. Highly recommend Qigong. And that led me to Tai Chi, and my Tai Chi teacher is the one who introduced me to Feng Shui. I had never heard of it before, and he gave me a flyer for a Feng Shui workshop and said, Meg, you've really got to check this out. And it was like a light bulb went off. My whole growing up, rearranging my furniture in my room and all my things, just trying to create order and balance in my life. I had this my whole life, this whole, like, sensitivity to space and working with space. So finding Feng Shui was a profound moment for me. And I knew instantly that I wanted to be a Feng Shui coach or consultant. But it did take me a few years to get the courage up to do that because it's not a very common profession. But after a series of moves, back-to-back moves, that was very stressful and sort of showed me just how sensitive I was to space, that's what kind of pushed me over the edge to take that plunge, to find teachers and to be in training. So I did train extensively with 3 wonderful teachers, Francine Tuft Peterson and Carol Bridges and Jetsuma master teacher Holin. And all of my teachers were longtime students of Grandmaster Lin Yun, who is well known for bringing Feng Shui to the West and the founder of the BTB Feng Shui School, also called Black Sect or Black Hat or Grandmaster Lin Yun's Feng Shui School. So I say that because there are many different approaches to Feng Shui. They're all good, and they all take the same approach to bringing harmony to our environment, to bring harmony and balance to our lives, but they are different, and some of them actually contradict each other. So if you've read books by different Feng Shui schools and you got confused, then that's probably why, because That's how it is. So I'm going to share my screen now and do a little slideshow for our time together. Um, and I'm not super great about following the chat. I will try to check it. There'll be sometimes I'll ask you to share in the chat if you wish. But as far as questions, I'll probably be able to catch those at the end. But I like to start by sharing this Chinese folk saying. So there's this uh, perspective that there are 5 factors that influence our life. And there's no order to these, but the factors are fate and destiny, the influences related to the time and place of your birth, luck, the ups and downs of life, Feng Shui, how your environment influences you and how you influence your environment, karma, which is the accumulation of good deeds or cause and effect. Also education, which is the pursuit of all kinds of knowledge. And what I like about this saying is it points to the fact that Feng Shui is one of the influences, but also that it's not the only influence. So Feng Shui may not be the root of our problems, or if someone has a chronic health issue, that might not be the root, but is one of the influences, and is one of the things that we can influence to help us. Just like, educating ourselves about, any area of our life that we're trying to improve. If you have health problems, and educating yourself, but also paying attention to all these different factors. So what is Feng Shui? For those of you who might be new to this, or at least I can share my perspective of what Feng Shui is. It's an ancient practice that aligns our living space with the balancing forces of nature. And the purpose is all to foster good health and life balance, healthy and prosperous life. And modern Feng Shui is a process of healing and balancing our living spaces with the intention of bringing that healing and balance to our lives. And the reason it's a process of healing and balancing, that's because our modern spaces, our modern buildings, they were not designed with Feng Shui in mind or the laws of nature. And most of them tend to break all the rules. So that's what can make us sick, can drain our finances and upset our relationships. So the buildings that we live in, they're out of step, out of alignment with nature, and that's that disharmony that interferes with the balance in our life. And the good news, though, is that Feng Shui can heal our spaces without having to move or remodel. And I love this ancient Chinese poem that describes the most desirable living conditions, and it's said to be where the term Feng Shui comes from. So the winds are mild, the sun is bright, the water is clear, and the trees are lush. And also the words Feng Shui, Feng means wind and Shui means water. And the term Feng Shui refers to this balance and flow of those 2 essential elements in our environment. And Feng Shui is all about qi. It's founded on the Chinese concept of qi. And qi is the life force energy that's inside of us and all around us in nature. Feng Shui is all about creating a healthy flow of qi and vitality in your space, which is in turn going to create a healthy flow of qi and vitality in your life, because our home, our space influences our life and our health. So it is a branch of Chinese medicine, and it's very much like acupuncture for your home, with the understanding that your home influences all aspects of your life. So instead of, an acupuncture, they would put needles in you to adjust the qi, to bring that harmony and good health and balance. And in Feng Shui, instead of taking needles out at the end of the session, we make subtle changes to the space. We do Feng Shui remedies that stay in place to promote that good health and life balance. So Feng Shui remedies are all about creating a space that is more comfortable, more beautiful, more peaceful, and that will, remedy areas that will drain either health or finances. So some of the things that we might use for remedies are mirrors, color, plants, wind chimes, art, moving the furniture, decluttering, rituals. We implement blessings and rituals, and all those things are used to enhance the qi. So there's this natural flow of energy in the universe, qi, that we're intimately connected to. And when we're in this flow, balance, harmony, prosperity, and success are supported in our lives. And when we go against this flow, or when this flow gets blocked or stagnant, that's when our lives can get more challenging. I like to relate it to a river. So imagine that your life is like a river and you are swimming down the river of life. And sometimes the river will speed up and sometimes it's going to slow down. But if you're going with the flow and you're swimming downstream, then you always have that supportive movement and flow of the river to help carry you forward. And of course, it's very natural for life to throw us some challenges that we have to work on to learn and grow and develop ourselves. Just like a tree falls, a storm comes, a tree falls across the river, blocking the way. You have to work harder to get through that obstacle, through that challenge. But because you're going with the flow and you're swimming downstream, you have the support of the river to help you move, to help carry you forward. Now, if you were to turn around and go upstream, going against the flow, then you would probably still get to your destination where you're going, but it would probably take longer, probably be more challenging because you're going against the flow and you don't have, instead of having the support of that movement and energy to help carry you, you actually going against it. And so it's making it more difficult. So this is very much what Feng Shui can be like. Feng Shui aligns your home with this natural flow of the universe so that your life will flow more smoothly, even when challenges come your way. So I see it as like having the support of the universe backing us up. So we're more aligned with that universal flow of energy. And Feng Shui is also known as the Chinese art of placement. You may have heard that before. Sometimes people think it's simply about furniture placement, but it's much more than that. It's really concerned about the placement of everything. It's all about relationship between the various aspects of our home, relationship between us and our home. So things that we pay attention to are how the building sits on the land, the placement of the doors, the windows, and the walls, and how they all relate to each other. And then furniture placement. For example, things like the desk and the bed, those are the two most important pieces of furniture. And then we take a lot of consideration in things like the placement of anything related to fire, like the stove, the fireplace, the heaters, or anything related to water, the bathrooms, the sinks. Where are they located? Where are these things located in the house, and how are they relating to each other? And a lot of that has to do with our health. There's certain patterns that are considered positive forces and some that are considered negative forces. So in Feng Shui, we're looking at sort of, you can kind of break it down to two levels, removing the energy drains, the leaks and the blocks, In other words, removing negative forces. And then the other level is enhancing the space by increasing the positive. So we can do things to increase the positive, but sometimes we have to remove the negative force, the drain. Otherwise, it's sort of is actually what's going to make enhancing the space work even better. So Grandma Sterlin, I thought this was such a great definition of Feng Shui, that it's the skillful use of the best available knowledge, incorporating both ancient and modern ideas to create the most suitable conditions for living and working. And one thing to know is that not every space is the same, and not every person is affected in the same way. So the longer somebody lives in the space, the more time there is for that space to impact their health and their well-being. My teacher used to say that it takes 5 years for the full influence of the bad feng shui of a house to impact us. But some people are more sensitive. They might notice how their home is affecting them much sooner than somebody else. And so it has a lot to do with our qi. And everybody's qi is different. But if you have health issues, then you might be more sensitive to space or the effects of how it influences you. But somebody who's applying feng shui to their home and maybe they've only lived there for 1 or 2 years, it's still a good time to apply remedies, but it's acting more like preventative for the future. The results will be more subtle, whereas somebody who's lived in their home for a long time, they might notice some of the results sooner. So now I want to share my 7 reasons why you may want to focus on your home when you have chronic health condition or are concerned about your mental, emotional, physical healing. And pretty much, both ancient wisdom and modern science points to the power that our home has to support and train our health. And our home is the foundation of our lives. And, creating a home, we want to create a home that is truly a sanctuary for us. And that's going to help us thrive. So I hope that I will be able to express this for you clearly. So reason number 1 is that our home is a mirror. You and your home have a relationship. And this is a core concept of Feng Shui, that our home is a mirror. And Feng Shui is a process of working with that mirror to help bring forth whatever the vision is that you hold for your life. And this mirror effect is kind of like multi-layered. It can be broken down into 3 basic ways of looking at it. So there's there's a physical structure of your house. So before you've even moved into the space, the house itself has a pattern. And it has to do with the design. So I said earlier about the relationship between the doors, the walls, the windows, the bathrooms, the fireplaces. So that's like the bones of the house. And that has a pattern that's telling us something about the house and how it could affect the people who come. But then 2 is we move in. So it's the stuff that we've brought into the space and how we arrange it and how we care for it. All of that also has an effect and starts to create another pattern. And then there's the unseen energy of the space. So a home has a spiritual energy. And I'm going to talk more about that a little bit later. But that's sort of the unseen energy in the space. And so our lives start to reflect what is already there in the design. But we may then also unintentionally contribute to that pattern by the way we set up our environment. So an example, I had this client, and when I looked at her house, I did a remote feng shui consultation with her. I looked at her house. I got the impression that she was hiding from life. So the door was very hidden. It was very hard to get to the door, and at every turn you had to, it just was saying like this. And so that had a lot to do with how the building was designed. But then she had a lot of clutter, and she had it blocking the path in every way. So it was very hard to move into the space to, you know, get in and even get out, because the back door was also blocked. So for her, hearing of, that, she resonated with that, with this sort of this push-pull with life, like feeling like she wanted to be out there more, but felt like she was hiding. It was very motivating for her to, one, do the Feng Shui remedies for the space, but then two, get moving on her clutter, which she had been having a lot of difficulty moving through prior to that. So learning about these patterns can be really helpful. And the thing about them is sometimes we can be working very hard on something in our life, and whether it's health or whether it's an emotional pattern, and we're doing all these things or getting all this help with this pattern, but then we go home and we have this space that has the same pattern, and it can kind of keep us down, hold us back in that pattern. So if we can also look at the space and get the space more in aligned with whatever our vision is or our goals, or aligned with good health, then that can be a lot better. Okay, reason 2, starting with the obvious, a clean home supports good health and healing. So when you don't clean your home on a regular basis, homes naturally get dirty, and then they become a breeding ground for allergies, and allergies, they impact our breathing and our health from that perspective. So it's like dust mites, mold builds up, all of that affects our respiratory system. It also affects the energy in the space. And so, you will notice a huge difference in how the energy feels in the space when it's clean. And that in itself will give you some extra energy. Of course, the longer it goes, the harder it is to clean. The more stuff you have, the harder it is to clean. I was helping a client declutter her house. She had a lot of areas that were pretty blocked off because of the piles. And even though she had somebody come to her house to clean like every other week, because there was so much, the piles were, you couldn't clean around them or under them, the amount of dust was overwhelming as we were trying to, work on those areas. So even though she had somebody come clean, so much of her house couldn't get clean because of the clutter. And she had, emotional, physical health problems, and she had respiratory problems as well. So cleaning is an important factor when taking care of our house, and in particular for health. Also, mold can trigger all kinds of symptoms and serious health issues, even if you aren't allergic to mold. So if you have health problems and you are aware that you've been exposed to mold, or if you aren't aware of mold, but there's been water damage in your house, I recommend that you have yourself tested for mold toxicity. I've had experience with this myself, and as a Feng Shui coach, I go into people's houses, and oftentimes I'll be able to smell the mold or sense that there's a water damage, and they have no idea. And sometimes they do, but they don't realize how detrimental it is to their health. So you can learn more about, there's a book called Toxic, Heal Your Body from Mold Toxicity, and Multiple Chemical Sensitivities, and that's by Neil Nathan, who's an MD. So reason number 3, breathing clean air is essential for your health. That goes very much along with reason number 2. Of course, dust and mold impact our breathing, and breathing is essential for our health, but there are other things in the house that affect air quality. So there are chemicals in the things that our homes are made of, our furniture is made of, and of course, house cleaning supplies. So furniture and building materials, they off gas when they're new. New carpets can be very toxic. So our mattresses. Fortunately, today there are like many more options for no VOC paints, lower no VOC furniture, chemical-free, environmentally friendly cleaning products. So I do just want to encourage you to seek those things out. You know, you don't have to rebuild your house, but if you're getting something new, it's going to have an off-gas effect, and these things can be toxic. And some people are more sensitive to smell, but some people, even if they can't smell it, it doesn't mean it's not affecting their health. And there are lots of great green mattresses and bedding. If you do need to get a new mattress, you can just Google that, avocado green mattress, lifekind.com. There's a lot of great ones. Reason number 4. So this is about your things. You're connected energetically to all of your things, and that connection has a big impact on you. So this is really about clutter, because, and this is one reason why clutter has such a big effect on us and our health in particular. So clutter increases stress levels, it impacts our physical and mental health. It can make it harder to focus. It does make it harder for our brain to focus. If you want to chat and put it in the chat, I invite you to share. I would love to know, is clutter something that you're struggling with? So having clutter can make us stressed, anxious, and depressed. According to one study, women who viewed their homes as cluttered have high levels of the stress hormone cortisol, and that was tested that they had it higher throughout the day. And the women in the study who described their home as well-organized, restful spaces had lower levels. So I'm curious if you view your home as well-organized, as a restful space, or as cluttered. And according to Libby Sander, who is this assistant professor of organizational behavior at Bonn University, she says a chronically cluttered home environment can lead to constant low-grade fight or flight response, taxing our resources designed for survival. So if you have clutter, you probably are already aware how triggering it is for stress and overwhelm. But you know, I think it's helpful to know that you know, it's been studied that they've made this correlation that it really does impact stress levels, and chronic stress can cause disease and also exacerbate symptoms of existing health issues. Chronic stress is linked to many health issues, including insomnia, other sleep issues, autoimmune diseases, anxiety, depression, weight problems, heart disease, elevated blood pressure, and cognitive and memory problems. So our brain can only take in so much of the chaos before it gets overloaded. Like our brain literally gets overloaded, and it's the visual distraction of clutter that impacts our brain. So Feng Shui would say that we're connected energetically to all our stuff, even the stuff that's hiding behind the closets or in the storage. But the other level is seeing it is going to trigger that stress and have that impact on our brain. And it increases cognitive overload, and that can reduce our working memory. And actually in 2011, neuroscience researchers used fMRI, which is functional magnetic resonance imaging, and other physiological measurements. They found that clearing clutter from the home and work environment resulted in a better ability to focus and process information, as well as increased productivity. So that's exciting. Thank you so much, Rebecca, for sharing. Clothing clutter, yes, keeping sizes that need as weight changes. Traveled somewhere warm and needed a size up of shorts that was bigger and that feels easier shopping, financial, and time. Yeah, time. Time is a big thing because it takes time to declutter. And the thing with clutter, though, is it also robs us of some of our time. So thank you for sharing. And if anyone else wants to share in the chat, you're more than welcome to, no pressure. It's always helpful when people share, though, and it helps other people too as well. So when our brain is not functioning properly, then it's harder to think clearly. It's harder to remember things, and it makes it hard to make decisions and feel motivated, including motivation to take care of our health. And all of that can trigger more anxiety and depression. So I would like to know if you want to chat in below, have you experienced the peaceful feeling of calm that can come when you've done something simple by restoring order to chaos, like doing the dishes or clearing your desk, cleaning the house, like those tasks, and how that brings that calm. And after decluttering, ideas, decisions, motivation, they all seem to flow much more smoothly. One woman who told me after she decluttered her home, she said, I realized it was cluttering my mind, and I don't need my mind to be cluttered. I feel so good to know I can go to my closet and I can easily decide what to wear. It was a burden to try to figure out. And I thought she said it all so well of how this can affect our daily life. You know, every day we go to the closet to choose clothes, and we can underestimate or downplay the effect that that has on the rest of our day. So creating that outer environment that's peaceful and calm can produce that inner calm and peace inside us. And that's the purpose of home. Our home is meant to be that place of rest that nourishes us from the stresses of the outside world, not a place that triggers more stress and serious health problems. And of course, there are many things in life that we have no control over, that we can't do anything about. But decluttering and healing our space is one of those things that we can do to take care of ourselves. Okay, reason number 5. Your bedroom affects your sleep, and a good sleep is crucial to your health. So from the Feng Shui perspective, the bedroom is considered the most important room in your house. Why is that? That's because that's where we sleep, and a good sleep is crucial to good health. So we can't live very long if we don't sleep. And according to Feng Shui, it's the places where we spend the most time that affect us the most. So your house is going to affect you more than your office, and your bedroom is going to affect you the most because we spend 1/3 of our lives sleeping, and sleep is all about health. So while you're busy sleeping, your bedroom is having an effect, an impact on your health and your longevity. And what I've noticed working with my Feng Shui clients is that many people neglect their bedroom because it's private, and they pay more attention to the public rooms, the rooms that other people see, than the rooms in their private room, you know. But what I like to say and encourage you is that you're the most important person in the house. So the bedroom is the most important room, and I encourage you to pay attention to your bedroom, because it's the last place that you see before you go to bed. It's the first place you see when you wake up, and those moments have a profound impact on your daily life. So they affects your sleep and then the tone for the rest of your day. And the bedroom is meant to be a place of peaceful repose, precisely for promoting that good, deep, nourishing sleep, loving intimacy, and of course, vibrant health. And it's estimated that 50 to 70 million Americans suffer from a sleep disorder or poor sleep, and to the degree that it impacts their daily functioning and creates problems with their health. And this is what the National Library of Medicine says: the cumulative long-term effects of sleep deprivation and sleep disorders have been associated with a wide range of deleterious health consequences, including an increased risk of hypertension, diabetes, obesity, depression, heart attack, and stroke. So, of course, there are a lot of factors that contribute to poor sleep and to sleep disorders, but addressing the bedroom, the room where you sleep, is an important thing to pay attention to. And in my view, it should be at the top of the list of treatment and prevention protocols. And clutter in the bedroom, is particularly detrimental to health for all the reasons I just said. So if it's an occasional mess, it's not a big deal. But if it's the things pile up and they never get dealt with, you can't move freely in the space, and they're triggering overwhelm, and that's where it becomes a problem. So I talked earlier about qi and the life force energy and how that's the core of Feng Shui. We want a healthy flow of qi and vitality in the home, which will in turn promote that vitality in our life. And so decluttering is the first step to good Feng Shui, because clutter blocks the flow of qi. So it prevents that movement. Clutter creates stagnant energy in the home, which will be reflected in our life. Also, studies have shown that people who sleep in cluttered rooms are more likely to have sleep problems, including difficulty falling asleep and being disturbed during the night. Okay, so there are other factors related to the design of your bedroom. Even if you have no clutter, this is where Feng Shui can come in to help. So it's about the design of the room itself. There's certain things that can impact health and sleep. Things like slanted ceilings and beams. They have an oppressive force that creates a presence of like a pressure down on the people below them. And when there's a slanted ceiling or beam over the bed, that's when it's particularly a concern. And that can have a physical, emotional, and mental effect on the people who are there sleeping in the bed. Also, it can, according to Feng Shui, contribute to affect the area. A beam can impact an area that's the part of the body that's directly under it, if you're lying in the bed underneath it. And also, if it's a marriage bed and there's two people sleeping in the bed, it can create a divisive force between the couple. So in that way, it can impact the marriage. And high ceilings can make it difficult to sleep, because it can make it feel difficult to feel grounded and cozy and relaxed in the bedroom. So a lot of Feng Shui is creating an environment that is relaxing and peaceful, so that we can calm down and renew and restore at home. And also, there are other things about that we pay attention to in Feng Shui: the type of bed, whether it's up off the floor, whether it has a headboard, what kind. Of course, the placement of the bed is really important. Is it facing the door? Is it in the path of the door? And then there's also something called poison arrows. So sharp corners pointing at the person in the bed from furniture. And so all those things can interfere with our sleep and with intimacy. But they can all, fortunately, be remedied with Feng Shui cures without having to remodel. But it's about how they impact the qi, the life force energy of the people. And reason number 6. Moving on from Feng Shui, but this is related to Feng Shui. So your house has a spiritual energy that needs tending. So this is about the spiritual, the unseen spiritual energy in the space, and about house clearing that energy. So ancient traditions, they understand that our house has a spiritual energy that needs tending. And they acknowledge that the spiritual energy influences the quality of our life. And they also take great care to restore the balance of this energy by using cleansing rituals, refreshing the house in that way. So first, the fact that the house was built on the land in the first place is a disruption to nature. So that creates an imbalance. And traditionally, a long time ago, people knew that, and they had ceremonies that they performed, and offerings were given to mitigate that imbalance when a dwelling was built. And in some cases, specialized altars were created to also maintain that balance. And as modern people, it's not likely that our homes were built with that level of care and tending. So what they also understood, ancient cultures, that the balance in the space could be disrupted by all the different changes that we go through in life. So some life situations are have a bigger impact than others, and they would then perform space clearing rituals to maintain that balance, or to bring the space back into balance after it got disturbed. So these disruptive influences can be divided into 4 main categories. So there's things that happen in your house that affect this spiritual energy. There are things that happen outside of the house that affect this energy. Then there's things that happen inside or outside, but during the time that you've been living in the house. And then there are things that have happened inside or outside before you even moved in, that have affected the spiritual energy. So we'll look at some of those in more detail. So things that happen in the house. So when there's been strong, unresolvable conflict between the occupants, when there's been a robbery, if there's been violence in the house, leaks and floods, they're seen as like a spiritual invasion. When there's been an illness or mold, which has a spiritual presence, even if after it's been remediated. And also clutter. Clutter has a strong force depending upon how much there is, but when it gets to a certain level, then it has a draining impact on the house and kind of has its own energetic presence that can introduce more disruption energetically. So then there's things that happen outside of the house. That could be crime in the neighborhood or violence in the neighborhood. It could be living near a funeral home, or it could be any kind of clutter disorder, either on the property where you live or in your neighborhood. Also, bigger leaks that come, like the roof is leaking or there's a flood. Thank you, Rebecca. I think she left already. Sorry, I'm moving something on my screen. Okay. Then there's things that happen inside or outside during the time that you've been living in the house. So that's any of the above that I already shared. But then there's the things that happen inside or outside before you even moved in. So that can be any of the above, but also anything that was really significant that the previous occupants experienced. So it could be divorce, it could it be a bankruptcy? They could have had a chronic illness or passed away in the house. All of those things are significant. And then a historic house, the older the house is, the more it's been through, both inside and outside. So all those kinds of things can be cleared out and rebalanced with appropriate space clearing. And in the case of the previous occupants, I just want to say a little bit more about that. When that's not cleared, then it's like living in the energy field of those people who came before. So it can be seen as taking on their karma or the karma of those challenging situations. And then over time, it's like the lives of those people get intertwined, the lives of the current people with the previous occupants. For example, a client of mine went through a divorce while living in her home, and she told me that the previous 5+ occupants of her home had all gotten a divorce while living in that house. And so doing a house clearing is like creating a fresh start for your life to flourish instead of living entangled with the histories of other people. So a house clearing, also called a space clearing or house limbia, that refreshes the space by clearing out the old stagnant energies and by rebalancing that spiritual ecosystem. And different traditions have different methods for how to do that. And they speak about it in different ways, but by and large, they're all holding the same view that it's necessary and that it's practical. And ancient people were very practical. If it wasn't significant to the quality of their lives and their health, they didn't waste their time. And I'm trained to do house clearing in both Feng Shui, the Feng Shui tradition from China, and also in the Nahua tradition from central Mexico. And after a good house clearing, the space feels lighter and brighter, and there's a sense of motion and movement in the space. And some clients have told me that they feel like they can breathe again, that they've cried because the feeling is so noticeable to them, and to have a sense of relief. So one woman, she had chronic pain and she was highly sensitive. And when she first moved into her house, she felt that the energy, she was very sensitive to how the energy felt in her house. Not everybody is very as sensitive, but she could really feel that. And of course, before she moved in, she was aware that the house had been neglected for a long time. It hadn't been physically cleaned in years, and there were rats, and she had to do all this like deep cleaning and all these repairs. Welcome, I'm going to mute you. And she said it was hard. So even though now everything physically looked clean and was in good shape, energetically it didn't feel good. And she said she couldn't settle in the space, and she didn't want to sleep in the bedrooms because she had felt it much stronger in there. But after the cleaning, she said it felt much lighter. And when she first walked in, she said she felt joy and elation, and that she felt like her chest and her heart was opening. And that when she went into the back bedrooms, it was that same light feeling that she could coexist in the space again. Whereas before, she said she felt repelled by those bedrooms. Oh, thank you, Yuta says, I experienced all these positive effects after you cleared my house. Thanks again. Thank you. Yeah, it's a nice feeling. So just to circle back to, those 6 reasons, hopefully illustrated this, how our home is a mirror and how we have a relationship with our home. And that Feng Shui is this process of working with that mirror, and we can work with our home in an intentional way to promote good health. And one tool that I'll just share briefly about, since we're running out of time, is the Bagua map. You've probably heard of this. This is one layer of how our home is a mirror. This is a tool we use in Feng Shui to assess the qi, and balancing the Bagua of a space is one key aspect of Feng Shui practice. This tool teaches us a lot about the space. And so basically, as you can see here, all these different aspects of our life, not just health, but career, self-knowledge, family, wealth, reputation, marriage, creative projects, helpful people, and travel. So the map shows us where these life areas correspond in the home. So they all live in the home somewhere. And sort of the art of Feng Shui is understanding that relationship and doing things to bring the Bagua into balance, because it has a lot to do with the shape of their house. So you can have areas that are missing and areas that are enhanced. And that's the concern if there's any kind of irregularity in the shape of the house. And this will also teach us a lot about the elements. You know, we're looking at the water element and the fire element. So to recap, some things that you can do to follow those 6 reasons, steps that you can take to create a home that helps you heal and be healthier, is to clean your house, use green and non-toxic products and furnishings when possible, clear your clutter. I know that's sometimes easier said than done for some people. Pay attention, special attention to your bedroom. Cleanse the unseen energy of your space, and have a Feng Shui consult and apply Feng Shui remedies. But I want to close here more with 3 essential steps to creating a home that helps you heal. So that is, have compassion for yourself, ask for help, and go at your own pace. So why do I say this? It's because these are 3 things that I learned on my own journey with chronic illness. Some of the biggest lessons that I learned was to have compassion for myself through my own healing, and to lessons of learning how to ask for help in all different ways. And also, if you have any kind of illness, maybe you have pain or maybe you have fatigue, you have to go at your own pace and be mindful of having compassion for yourself for whatever that pace is, and know that if you can be kind to yourself, kindness is where it's at the end of the day. And I've experienced this myself after years and years of being sick and not knowing what was wrong and not getting help, you know, trying all these things and they weren't helping. It, you know, can become so hard. And what I've noticed with some of the people that I work with too, that they can be hard on themselves and can have a hard time asking for help. So I just like to mention that. And especially if you have clutter, some people who have clutter have a really hard time. And so it can be really hard on themselves about it. So I really encourage that compassion, and, you know, ask for help. So if you know, if cleaning your house is physically challenging for you, if you know, it's worth the investment to get help with that. If that's out of your budget, then see if you can get some help at least a couple times a year to help maintain. Or and to know that time spent cleaning is reduced by 40% after you declutter. So that's some good motivation. And then with decluttering, sometimes people just need help. Some people, all they need is the inspiration and the direction, and they have no trouble decluttering on their own. But for many other people, it's very difficult to do, and they need that one-on-one support. And there's nothing wrong with that. It provides direction, it provides accountability and emotional support. And that could be a friend or it could be a professional. And one decluttering student of mine, she said that she asked her friend to help her declutter her creepy shed. And with that support of her friend, she was able to get through it. And if your energy is really low, then you may need to, again, go at your own pace and go slow. And then if you are going to embark on a Feng Shui journey, I do recommend that you get professional Feng Shui perspective on your space. Whether you work with me or not, I highly recommend that you invest in Feng Shui. So when I first started training in Feng Shui, I asked my teacher, Francine, about Feng Shui books, and because people were asking me about them, and she said, "You wouldn't do brain surgery from a book, would you?" And she said that because doing Feng Shui from a book is like that. It lacks that diagnosis and the appropriate remedies that are very specific to the space and to that person. And then have a professional house clearing. So again, whether you work with me or not, I highly recommend that you have someone come to your house to do this for you, someone who is trained. Anyone can burn sage or incense, but it's not the same level that most homes need, especially if there's been some stronger things in there. Yeah, so go at your own pace, ask for help where you need it, and always have compassion for yourself wherever you are on your healing journey and on your journey healing your home. And so now, just briefly, I'll share a few things about ways to work with me. If you wish to, if this all made sense, if you want help integrating any of this into your life, I would, of course, be happy to help you. So there's a few different options. I have a Feng Shui for chronic illness 6-month program, and that starts with a holistic view Feng Shui session, which is the holistic view Feng Shui session is a full evaluation of the Feng Shui of your space and then remedies. And then we meet once a month during that program to also implement other home healing methods and to fine tune the Feng Shui and for Feng Shui coaching. And I can do that in person and online. Of course, the price is different because the packages are designed a little bit different. And it costs less for working online. But if that's too much, the Feng Shui holistic view session is 2.5-hour session in person or online. And again, that's that first phase. It's part evaluation, and then a lot of it is giving you a really good phase of remedies for how to bring your house into balance and create a space that will help you heal. And then the focus session is just a shorter session if either that's too long or too much money, or maybe you just want to focus on decluttering, or you just want to do house clearing, or you just want to work on your bedroom, then we can just do 1.5 hours. So that's a shorter session and it's more focused on either a specific area or topic that you want to work on. I call the Feng Shui holistic view session that because it's looking at the whole house as a whole, and that takes a little bit more time. But yeah, you can find out more information on my website. I have all the details there. And if you have any questions, feel free to email me and we can talk about it. And if any of you who live in person in Santa Cruz and want to come to me for healing sessions, I'm also a traditional spiritual healer. And so that's working on you basically instead of your home. So for some who sometimes it's good to do both levels, or sometimes people need more of that clearing for themselves to give them the boost to have more motivation and work on the home stuff. So there's more information there also on my website. So thank you. I would love to hear for those of you who are still here. Thanks for hanging in to the end. Would love to know what your biggest takeaway is. And if you have any questions, and I'll stop the share, and you're welcome to either put it in the chat or raise your hand. Either what your biggest takeaway was, if you had any insights about your own space, or if you have any questions about. Go ahead, Yuta. Thank you.
Yes, it's both. It's an insight and leads to a question. Is the most important room the bedroom, which I can only underline because I realized whenever even if I throw it all away, cleared out my sleeping space, bedroom or bunk on the boat, I realized that it's really an island of peace for me. Even if the rest is completely in chaos, I can just for that night, I feel peaceful. And the question comes here: when you live when you're alone, it's all fine. You have to, and I'm taking care of my own clutter, dirt, and all that stuff is work enough for me. And when you have a partner, I know it's important that you share space and stuff. So what would you say, even if it's not a Feng Shui answer, but from your experience, would it be wiser to just sleep in separate rooms if you have the opportunity? Yeah. But then you don't have the partners together. Or is it better to stay together and yeah, I don't know if that's even possible because I just see it's stress and it's fight. It's or I do all the work, and then we can stay together in a clean, nice, organized, clean bedroom, or I move out and does the house, because that second bedroom exists still, that will be completely cluttered and dirty, and mine will be clean. So does that make sense in the whole picture?
Yeah, that's a good question, and I think really the answer is depends. It depends, what's going to work for you. Is it what's going to work for the marriage? Is it going to cause too many arguments to share the room and be at not being able to come to a solution, or will it create peace for your relationship that you have separate rooms, but you make the effort to maybe you still spend time together and make that effort, but you have one person has their stuff in one room, one person has their stuff in the other room. I mean, Feng Shui would say that it's best for the marriage that you probably have you share the bedroom and you have one bedroom. But if that's going to create so much stress in the marriage because of what you've described, then we have to find another solution. And so if that's even an option, you might try it. I think it's about what's going to create the most harmony for both of you.
And one small question, it might be just a yes or no. Is it true? I thought it was Feng Shui who says no pets in the bedroom. Was that Feng Shui or not?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's not like a rule that I'm like myself particularly like strict about, because I know that's not necessarily realistic. Again, I think it goes to, it depends, I think the perspective where that comes from is sometimes having a pet in the bedroom, especially if there's a partnership, can sort of interfere with the partnership or be like another presence and interfere with the marriage, or sort of take a lot of energy from the marriage. So I think but a lot of people, their pets are really important to them, and it's important, they need to live in the bed. But I think it's maybe to have that awareness, like, is it a problem or not? And is it something that, oh, I see it's a problem and I'm going to try to do something about it, or no, it's a problem and it's important that it stays this way. I mean, you have to sort of explore that.
Okay. So
Yeah.
there is no certain, like the sharp edges, no pets, that doesn't exist.
Well, I'm sure there are other feng shui perspectives that probably say absolutely no. But I'm a little more,
Yeah.
we have to do the best we can and
Yeah.
case by case basis. So
Thank you.
you're welcome. Anyone else have something to share that stood out, or that insight, aha, or question?
Yeah. Oh,
Are you okay?
no, can you hear me?
I
Did you
can
hear
hear
me?
you now.
Oh, please. I'm just going, well, I just didn't, I thought I blinked out a button so I couldn't be on, but okay, this is Patty. And I want to say that I am absolutely delighted to have had this opportunity. I have a lot to do and I am so excited. I'm so inspired. It's so positive. And I know about Feng Shui for a long time and I've done various things, but this now, it's like when it's really, oh, of course, any time for Feng Shui is perfect, I know, but this has really gotten to my heart and soul. And I need it very much. My life and, home and needs it, and wow, I'm so excited. I'm just really so excited. I already had a wealth corner, but there's the other ones. I got to do the back one and make it work out. I have a little bit
Thank
of an
you,
unusual
Patty.
house. Thank you so much. You are so professional. You have done, I'm a teacher, and you did an excellent teaching job. The fact that you addressed every type of learning style. You had photos, you have charts that you can read easily for people that have less vision happening, which I'm going to overcome. That's me. And oh my, I've got my knowing bumps. You know, when you get your chills that tell you something's right on, I call them my knowing bumps, and my knowing bumps are here. Thank you. And
Oh,
I'm
awesome.
thankful for
Thank you,
knowing
Patty.
you and all you did. Thanks, sweetie. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. I'm so glad it was inspiring for you.
Oh, I'm so
I
excited. I
appreciate
really am.
hearing about the knowing bumps. That's great.
Yeah. And I'm really excited. I really am. It's happening. And even Tommy said, okay, Patty, we got to do it. We got to do it.
Yay, you can do
So
it.
neat. Yeah. All right.
Thanks
I
for
won't take up
coming.
all the time. Thank you so much for this lovely gift.
You're
Thank
so
you.
welcome. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for coming.
Yeah. All right, honey. Bye for now.
All right, bye-bye. Anyone else before we call it a night? I'll turn off the recording now and